All right, so I'm so happy with how little time I spend on my hair. And if you want a low maintenance lock journey, then look no further because I have perfected the way. Locks can be low maintenance, but I'm going to take it a step further and say locks are perfect for anyone who's actually downright lazy. So I'm going to start from the beginning just on how to craft the perfect low maintenance lock journey. And if you already have your locks, still no fear because you can still implement a lot of these steps anyway. Welcome to Locs Life. Please like, comment, and subscribe. So step one is selecting the size locks that you want, because obviously in order to have some low maintenance locks, you're gonna need to have some locks in general. And in order to start your locks, you're gonna need to decide what size that you want. So the typical rule of thumb is the smaller your locks, the higher maintenance it's going to be. So, but no fear, you can still have small locks and have a low maintenance journey, just like myself. You can pretty much have almost any size locks that you want, except for very, very small micro locks and sister locks, and have a low maintenance journey. And for those who've already started your locks and you have micro locks and you're kind of tired with the time spent, you can still combine your locks so without restarting your journey entirely. And by combining your locks, you'll cut down on the time spent on your maintaining your locks and maintaining your hair. Step number two is starting your locks journey. There's going to be some maintenance no matter what method you select to start your journey, but this maintenance that I'm describing is more so for the beginning of your locks journey, and as your locks mature, you won't have to deal with this as much. And this has to do with the fact that depending on which method you select to start your locks, your hair may be more prone to unraveling. So for example, if you start with two-strand twist, you'll notice still some unraveling versus braid locks. If you braid your hair to start your lock journey, you'll notice less unraveling. So I started my locks with two-strand twist, and I did have to deal with some unraveling. For the ones where it was pretty bad, I try to like braid the ends, but no fear, they will lock at some point, but that is some maintenance. I would steer away, if possible, from comb coils. Those ones will unravel the most. And for the least amount of unraveling, you can try instant locks. And so usually that's going to be started at with a loctician, or you'll just spend some time learning how to make instant locks, and you can try and start them on your own. Step three deals with retwisting your locks. So this is where the most maintenance comes in for your lock journey. In the beginning, I did my retwist I would say the more traditional way, kind of like palm rolling essentially. And with this method, you're typically sitting down and doing it all at once. Maybe you twist at the root, maybe you put a clip in your hair to make it less likely to unravel. And same with adding some gels and sprays as well to sort of keep your retwist fresh. But what I do now and what I recommend for those who are looking for a low maintenance lock journey is to interlock. So for me, this has been an absolute game changer. So I first started interlocking with a tool. I then subsequently lost the tool like twice now. Pretty much now I retwist just with my hands. So I can do that anytime I want to, watching TV, just like sitting in bed sort of mindlessly. So for me, I feel like I spend zero time retwisting my locks because there's not one specific time of the day where I'm like, okay, I need to start to retwist my locks. I kind of just, maybe will feel around and I might notice when it's like a little loose, and then I'll just like go ahead and interlock that lock and I'm good to go. So I don't have to dedicate any time to do my locks. And I love it too, so I don't have any achy arms from having my hands all up in my hair for hours on end. It's really just me mindlessly retwisting my locks or interlocking my locks every now and then. So next step four to consider for a low maintenance locks journey is wash day. So for me, wash day when I was a loose natural was an event, I can't lie. And even for having locks, it's probably the most time consuming part of maintaining them for me, but it's still not too bad. However, I will say wash day or when you're washing your locks, it is fine to spend more time because this is the most important part. You're clarifying your locks, you're keeping them nice and clean. So it's fine to spend, of course, some more time here. However, I will say the best part about having locks is that you don't have to deal with styling them after you wash them. You kind of like are done. You can just wear them down and you're good to go. Some tips that will help reduce the time as well and are just good to keep in mind. So one is you don't really need to use conditioner. So instead, really focusing on having a good clarifying shampoo and making sure you are really rinsing out everything. It's more difficult with locks than loose hair, just by the nature of locks being dense. So you really want to spend time making sure you get all of the shampoo out, and you just don't really need a conditioner. I find, and a lot of people find, it just causes buildup. So really just focus on clarifying and shampooing your hair. And if you still find you need a little bit of moisture, I find like afterwards, just a little spray, whether it's like rose water or something like that, to get a little moisture in your hair without leaving buildup. And then next tip, use a shower head attachment. Also a game changer. You can get them very cheaply, and it's just great. You can get some really direct pressure, direct water pressure onto your scalp, make your scalp feel nice and clean, and just also just like helps as well if you're washing in sections too. So you might find that helpful. And then something else with locks, feel free, you can just use a nice hair towel. You don't need to blow dry your hair for it to dry. I really, squeeze it, blot it dry with my hair towel, and then I'm good to go. And of course, it's still damp. So on a nice day, I live where I live, it's like sunny most of the time. So I'll just like kind of go out for a little bit of a walk. But either way, it's nice having locks. You don't necessarily need to blow dry or plait your hair to kind of get it ready for any type of style. Final step for having a low maintenance lock journey is keeping in mind moisturization. I alluded to this when I was talking about wash day. When maintaining your locks, you really don't need a lot of moisturization, and you want to be careful because a lot of the product will just cause buildup. So you really want to keep it as simple as possible, and as light as possible. So some stuff like rose water or aloe vera, just very light on your locks so you don't get buildup. All right, so that's it. That is the low maintenance guide to starting and maintaining your locks. Of course, everything is easier in theory, in practice, and it can take a little bit of time to find out what works best for you. Everyone has their own specific circumstance that can make things easier or harder. But at the end of the day, for answering the question, if you can have a low maintenance lock journey, then the answer is most definitely yes. Thanks everyone again for stopping by. This is Locs Live. Please comment and subscribe. Bye everyone.